All right, here's what we got. We got solving equations with multiple steps. All right, we typed this up here. So first, simplify each side of the equation and distribute it if necessary. Second, gather variables to one side. Third, add or subtract the constant, cancel the constant. So I can show you an example of that. Right here we have distributing. So we have negative 6x minus 10 equals 4x plus 20. Now they say to add the constant, okay, or add the variables to one side. So I'd probably actually add the 6x because I don't want to deal with a negative number. So by adding 6x, I have negative 10. One thing to note is I brought that negative or minus sign down, okay, equals 10x plus 20. I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. That's going to mean I'm going to get a bigger negative and negative 30. You divide by 10 on both sides, and I have negative 3 equals x. Okay, and so that should be review for a lot of us. But notice I gathered the variables to one side. All right, I got all the x's here in the red. Then I subtracted the 20 to have all the constant on one side, which is the negative 30. Then your coefficient is 10, so that's what you divide by the coefficient. All right. This means that these are, what does it say? It means less than. This is less than. Okay? You shade below. And it is, and this is an open circle. So these two are both open because they don't have or equal to. This is a solid circle. Okay. Now below shading, this would be values that are more or above. So more or above down here. And so we usually say below or less. And that's why like here I wrote in less than. This just means less than or equal to. / equal to. And that kind of means right here, okay? I'm not sure how they want us to fill out this table, but this is greater than. Okay, this is greater than or equal to. Equal to. Not worried about the table, guys. Here's what you need to know. When multiplying or dividing by a negative number, this is a big key thing. Flip sign. Okay, so not worried about that right now, but let's do these. So if I look at this, here's what's going to happen. I want you to add 3 to both sides like it's an equal sign because that gives us the coefficient by itself. So a is less than 5 is the right answer. So what I normally do here is I go to 5, 4, and 6. I know that this is an open circle and that I want to shade the numbers that are less. And we know that 4 is less than 5, so I shade all the way across. And so that's where I shade less or below the number 5. So here, the coefficient is 3. So the variable by itself, I divide by 3. I have x is greater than or equal to 6. Okay, so let's go on here. 6, 7, 5. This symbol means more than. And it's also filled in because it's or equal to. So I need to fill this circle in. And then I need to shade on this line towards the values that are more than 6. So 7, 8, 9, 10. And so we just have a bunch of these on the back. So if I multiply by 4, that actually, 4 divided by 4 is 1. So 1D is less than or equal to. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So it's less than 64. Usually I take that 1 and I use it to make my box. So 64. So I'd say 64, 65, 63. And we're shading less than. So I fill it in and make this less than. This is an arrow. Sure. If I go to number 5, I'm dividing by -2. that becomes a positive 1b. Divide by negative 2, that becomes a negative 8. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, big thing here, dividing by a negative or multiplying results in that sign flip. So I'm going to actually put negative 9 here, negative 8, negative 7. And we are actually looking for greater than, so I fill it in, and I look for these values that are bigger, okay? In this not last one, but in this next one, we're going to go minus 13, minus 13. So we have negative 4k is less than or equal to 14. We're going to divide by that negative 4. Divide by that negative 4. So k is greater than or equal to negative 3.5. So what I would do is I'd probably only put negative 4, negative 3.5, and negative 3. Because we're just showing and picking those values and those numbers because we know that they're next to it on a number line. Now notice in red here, I circled it. I flipped the sign when I divided by the negative. I don't know who caught on to that, but maybe you need to see that. Now greater than would be positive numbers. So I go this way. Oops. Whatever. All right, we got 5 left here. And it won't let me grab. There we go. All right, so if I did this next one here, we have subtract 4x, subtract 4x. That's going to give us 5x plus 5 is greater than 15. Minus 5, minus 5. So we're going to have 5x is greater than 10. We're going to divide by 5 here. And we are just going to have x is greater than 2. And I think we're pretty confident with that. 2, number next to 2 is 3, and number next to 2 is 1. I want the values greater than it. Now notice in my circle here, I actually left that hollow because I don't have or equals to anymore. Fun fact for you, if I were to do this, I would be subtracting 5 and subtracting 5 first. Because now my coefficient is that negative 1/3, or dividing by negative 3. So what I want to do is multiply by negative. So what I'm doing right here is multiplying, because these will cancel and divide to be that positive 1 that we talked about. Now I'll write times negative 3 here. That'll become greater than negative 15. Notice the sign flip. So IB is greater than negative 15. So numbers negative 15, negative 14, negative 16. I think people get confused, but if I put this circle here, numbers that are greater than negative numbers are numbers like 0. So some people will put 0 on the number line to show that we're going towards 0. All right, so there's another way you can shade. You can scribble this arrow. All you need to do is communicate that you know it needs to go towards 0. This one's a little bit confusing because we got some distributing here. I would tell you that I would write 30z minus 6 times 3 is 18. Notice I kept that minus sign. It's less than 36z. I'd probably minus the 30z so that I can get it over to the other side and only have one variable. So that negative 18 is less than or equal to 6z. Dividing by 6 results in me finally getting to negative 3 is less than or equal to z. Now, I didn't flip the sign. I don't flip the sign because this value is negative. I flip it when I divide by a negative. So, if I put negative 3 here, negative 2, negative 4, if you want, you can put 0 on there, because we are eating the variable, which means we want to be greater than the negative 3. So I'm going to fill this in here, and I'm going to go towards 0 again. All right, a couple word problems to end. So I need $250 to buy a laptop. So I'm going to write down 250, and I'm going to tell you a secret. I need greater than or equal to 250. Now, the fun fact, I have 50. and I get paid 20 per day. Now per day, and then it asks what is the number of days. So the days are my x. So then I solve it like I've been doing all day here. Okay, we'd have 20x is greater than or equal to 200. If we get these 50s to cancel out, you divide by 20 on both sides, you're actually going to have x is greater than or equal to 10. So what is the least number of days? I'd put 10 on there, 11. I'd say I need to work 10 or more days to be able to afford the laptop. And this last one, we're doing some pizza stuff here. It looks like I have a maximum here. So I have $18.50 that I can spend. So $18.50, or I have to spend less than or equal to that. So that's 14 plus 0.75x per topping. Okay, so if I'm minus 14, I do 0.75x is less than or equal to 450. 0.75 divided 0.75. I think if you actually do this in a calculator, you have x is less than or equal to 6. Somebody should check my math. Now, if I go up here, I'd put 6 on here, and I would know I can have less than that topping. So I could just have pepperoni with 1 topping, pepperoni sausage with 2. All right, so that's a lot of inequality stuff. But those are some ways to do the number line in word problems. Thanks for listening. That got pretty long.